Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm delighted to be with Ferry, Big Kev the Jambo Muppet, and let's just talk like you talk, Si. So
I thought, oh, the shite you mean?
aye. So what were you both like growing up?
Kev, on you go. I could imagine you were big boy.
I'd grown up, obviously, Darren, I grew up in Stranraer, so there was nothing there, didn't I? My first McDonald's till I was 15, so you can imagine how deprived
I
I
think
was.
you've had plenty.
Yes,
I've obviously made up for it, Darren, but no, Stranraer was just a quiet wee place. Everybody knew everybody, and I think that's the case to this day. And I had a good upbringing. Smashed plenty of windows, plenty of guys' fences, trying to play football and try to achieve the dream.
No wonder you went to Hearts then.
That was the dream, mate. I know it didn't get in too well for yourself there, obviously, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. I could have signed for Hibs.
Better team in Edinburgh.
Hearts are a bigger team than Hibs, Darren. Come on.
Got to be. How many Scottish Cups he won, Dan? No, how many Scottish Cups he won?
2.
I can't believe you can only use half a hand to count that.
What you want to know about my upbringing, Dan?
Tell us about. I want to know about Dundee.
Dundee. So I just grew up in a place called Minas Hill. Me and my big brother. 4 of my best mates lived on the street. They were my big brother's age, so I was the youngest, and just used to kick about with them all the time playing football. I started off the worst, and then after about a year, them ended up the best. And all we done was played football morning to night. We'd all go in each other's houses for food, and then we'd be back out straight playing football again. And then picked up for Dundee Celtic boys, and then through to Glasgow every weekend to play for Celtic, mate. So it was great childhood. Absolutely loved it.
Who were your football and idols?
Mine, Darren, was Colin Calderwood, and that's only because he was the only kind of footballer from Stranraer at that time, somebody of note. So as you can imagine, 1998, he was part of the Scotland World Cup squad.
Who was he playing for at the time, Kev? Was it Spurs?
He left Stranraer side, he signed with Swindon, and then he did well at Swindon. I think when Swindon were maybe in the old First Division, and then he got a move to Spurs, and I think he played like hundreds and hundreds of games with Spurs, and he ended up being quite a stalwart for Scotland and Spurs at a point. And then so he for me was the guy that we were trying to beat, no be in terms of the style and everything, just try to get to his level, something to aspire to. And obviously Colin went on to manage Hibs. He actually was a manager that day. I scored the winner against Hibs in the New Year derby, so I don't think he enjoyed that too much. But he just was he was one of these footballers that kept coming back to the town and to open up, maybe like do a thing at the school or help the team that he played for was the team that I played for, that's still going strong now, the Crying Boys Club. And he always came back to the town, and like me, he's got that horrendous Stranraer accent. But for me, he was probably the only one. But then when I got playing football, I admired guys like Duncan Ferguson and Frank McAvenny. He for me was like, when I went to Celtic games and when I was young, 7, 8 years old, he was a striker for Celtic, and I wanted to be Frank McAvenny, but I did nowhere near as much shagging or drinking as him. But
the only thing that you could do was fall on your arse about 9 times out of 10.
I know, Darren, but it worked.
Mine was Henrik Larsson. Grew up, me and my brother, as I say, watching Celtic. Paul Lambert as well. Loved Paul Lambert. He played my position, centre midfield. Sorry, liked it. And then we were big Man United fans as well, Darren. So David Beckham. My brother loved Ryan Giggs. Eric Cantona, I used to go about with the collars up. So we were Man U fanatics. We used to love Man United. So I would say probably David Beckham as well. Henrik Larsson and Roy Keane as well. Loved Roy Keane. Top players.
Larsson was a good player in his prime.
Who was your idol? Tam McManus?
No, so obviously I can like Deeks, Gary O'Connor, but my boyhood hero is Lewis Stevenson.
Hopeless. Absolutely hopeless.
No, he's not.
Nah, I'm kidding. No. I actually came through the youth system, Lewis, Darren, at Scotland. Lovely guy, isn't he?
Oh,
One of the best. Good football player as well. Good guy.
Especially to Mark, like to play for Hibs for making 500 appearances with one club. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. Gaz and Deeks, what a pair they were, eh?
I combined Buddy Deeks with was it Gary with the Mexican?
Yeah.
Or was that Daz? Deeks.
I think all of them had it, didn't they? They were all ugly as sin, weren't they? But they all had smart haircuts.
Yeah, well. First football in memory.
Oh. My first one would have been
eating a pie.
Kevin's all over you.
He's on me today. He's worse than Slaney, man. You should get a gig on their podcast instead of. No, I would. My first football in memory, I think, would be in that first. I think I'll tell you when it was. It was when Scotland under 16s played. Was it Saudi Arabia at Hampden?
Right.
It was the World Cup under 16 final or something like that, and they played at Hampden, and all the schools got a free ticket. So I would have been maybe 7, 8 years old. So got a trip to Hampden and watched the Scot. It might have been like Saudi. I think it was Saudi Arabia. I'm sure it was because they all had moustaches at 16. And that was kind of my first footballing memory that I can remember of visiting a ground and experience what it was like. And that's the earliest I can possibly remember. Si?
Mine would be my gran and granddad used to live right across the road from Lochie United, which is a junior team in Dundee. So me and my brother and my mates would jump the fence at Lochie United and we'd go and watch Lochie United on a Saturday. We were kind of 7 and 8 year old, just horrible football, but we loved it. And then my granddad was a big Dundee fan, so he would sometimes take us to Dens and sometimes Tannadice as well. So we used to watch quite a bit of football. As I say, sneaking into Lochie United was probably the first memory.
First football kits you got?
Oh. Mine just probably a fake strip in Turkey, man.
You're that young, Si. You probably would have got one. I think I got one of the Celtic 1988 strip C.R. Smith. I think it was C.R. Smith. It might even be in the centenary one, but that would have been my first proper strip. And then every birthday, you would always ask your mum for a full kit. I think I even had the grey Celtic goalie kit at one point that Packy Bonner would have wore. So I think that's my earliest memory of a professional kit.
What were you like playing football back in high school?
Si?
High school, I was fucking tremendous, Dan. What a player, man. Nah, as I say, I always played with the older boys, mate. So used to get kicked about quite a bit. We always had a big, massive game at lunchtime. It was like a 40.
You're a big bloody softie.
I was too busy speaking to the birds, Dan. Do you know what I mean, mate?
No comment.
But no, so we take like big 20-a-sides, massive playground. Obviously, every lunchtime would be fights. But brilliant. We had loads of good football players in our school. So Bobby Lynn, who plays with Arbroath, went to school with me. Mark Fotheringham, who went on to play with Norwich and Fulham. Jamie Winters, who played with Aberdeen, played with Rangers, Leeds United. There was loads of guys. Gary, there's a few boys that were young boys at Celtic with me. So our school had a lot of right good football players. So the games were always to a high standard. And then at night after school, we'd all run home, get changed, and then we'd all play a big game on the field where we stayed. So it was just football constantly, Dan. It was brilliant.
I was going to say, Dan, I was by far the fucking best player in my school. I was the best in primary school at P4.
In your bloody dreams.
I'm telling you, Stranraer's not a big place, Darren. There only was 20 of us at school. But no, high school, we had a good school team. The regional thing we would play against, our rivals would be the Dumfries High School and stuff, and we would always win the league. It's different when you come with Stranraer because there's not a lot of footballers actually get a chance to become professional, whereas like with Si, no saying he's central built, but he's the central of Scotland, so more opportunities. But away down in Stranraer, we had, the only other person was Alan Jenkins. He played for the old Gretna and Stranraer. Stranraer and Ballymena over in Ireland. So he had a right good footballing career, played hundreds and hundreds of games at various levels. So there was only really me and him, but we had a good team, and we won a lot of things, and we got to the semi-final of the Scottish Cup at the age of 15 and stuff. So it's different when you're playing in a rural town, miles away from everybody else. It's not as easy. I say easy because it's not easy at all, but you don't get as many opportunities maybe as the boys further north get.
Kev, are you one of them that would wear their school shoes playing at lunchtime, or would you
like every day, Si, you probably the same way. You would come home and you'd have like big grass marks down the front of the trousers. The grey trousers would end up.
That had nothing to do with football.
And then your mum would be. But we were like exactly like you. We would at playtime we would have the P6, P7s, and the same at the high school. Then as soon as you get home in the bus or walk home, whatever it was, straight back out, get the kit off, and then get play in the street, and it was just constant football all the time.
Get the kit off and do what?
Aye, well, didn't have a girlfriend until I was 16, so that was after school.
What about you, Dan? Did you play football in school?
I did,
Any good?
I played football at high school. I scored in one of my games. The other one the first goal I ever scored, held my shin pad. But no, like I used to play football for Ferry disability team.
Right.
So I was originally a striker, but then they put me to left mid. Now I was about 4'11", I only weighed like 5 stone at the time. And they seem to have always attacked me, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
Good.
Wide left's rubbish, innit? I'd hate to play on the wing, man.
I'm left-footed.
Oh, even worse. I'd rather play on the right and cutting on my left foot, innit?
No.
I couldn't play left wing. Kev, do you ever play on the wing?
No, the only time I only ever played a different.
You couldn't even get to the other end.
When I played for the school, I would play if everybody was fit. I would play centre half because with too many strikers, and I was very good at centre half, to be fair, and I just like to get the glory, so that's why I moved up front. But I always wondered if I'd have been a better centre half than I would have been a centre forward. I
used to get played right wing, Swindon, mate, and I used to say to the manager, just play somebody else here, man. I'll sit on the bench.
Were you fast? Were you fast when you were younger, Si? No?
Never fast, mate. Never. I used to get stuck at right wing, mate. Never done a step over in my life. Just run up and down the right wing, not even touch the ball. Hated it so much.
I don't know.
Sorry, Dan, on you go, mate.
Right, on you go, Dan. You're taking your interview up here.
Best club you've played for?
Oh.
Mine would be Sunderland. Hearts would obviously run it very, very close, but I think it's more, the difference between is more down to how long I spent at each club. And I spent 8 years like learning life, really. It wasn't just all about football. I learned to become a human being, an adult, and just
what were you before a bloody an offend?
No, it's just a really good time. I just like went there as a skinny wee spotty face fat fish and all.
Like Slaney.
And then I skinny. I was actually at one point, and then I came.
Like Slaney.
I left a wee bit more overweight and less of the spots, and a more rounded human being, Darren. Don't even say it right when I say it.
No, but Dan, Kev's spot on. See, like in terms of Celtic, it's like, no, it's not the football you remember. It's making the coaches made you the person that you are. I think that's gone for coaching now. They're all obsessed with fancy drills instead of actually helping kids be better people first and foremost, and then better players after that. I wouldn't count Celtic because I never played much with the first team, so I wouldn't say that I played for Celtic. Mine would have been Swindon, mate. Loved it down there. Just how we lived and money you were on and the people that you were, my teammates, and just life was good at that time. We were very successful for Swindon's standards the whole time I was down there, so I would say Swindon.
Best player you've played with?
Oh, Kev's got a few belters, hasn't he?
Mine should be Kevin Phillips, because having come through the youth team and watched him as a first team striker, number 9, scoring 30 goals in the Premiership, it was amazing. Like every day we would go and watch, when our training would finish, we'd go and watch the first team, and he would be out non-stop just working on his shooting, and he used to hit everything into top corner, bottom corner, just hit the target all the time, and he was just so good and dedicated to his career. He was a right world-class player who, for me, had he been taken on by one of probably the bigger teams at a younger age, he possibly could have been like up there with your Shearers, and like he was just, honestly, he was so good. To score 30 goals for Sunderland in the Premiership, I think that just says it all.
Kev, they 30, so I remember that season, no many of them were like tappings, were they?
No, he was. Remember the goal he scored against Chelsea for like 35 yards, and every goal was different, and he was so good, such a humble human being as well, and he was good for the dressing room. He was really good on team nights out. He was very he looked after everybody really well, and he obviously got capped by England. But at that time, he's got like Shearer and guys out in front of him, so it's very difficult to get in the England side. But he broke in and got a couple of games, and for me, it was just an honour to having been in the same dressing room at one point and played up front with him. And I remember the season we got relegated, and I think one of the games we played Arsenal at the Stadium of Light, and we were up front together. I was number 19 or whatever it was, and he was number 10, and I was like, "Kev, this is tough today, man. This is really tough." And he's like, just do the best you can, full encouragement, coaching me through the game, and just an all-round great guy, and had a wonderful career, and hopefully he's into the coaching now, and hopefully he makes it in that.
Yeah, were you at Newcastle that game, Sunderland, the game they beat Newcastle? Mickey Gray put it in for Quinn.
No, see that side. That was we were youth teams, so that game was videoed live back to the Stadium of Light. So there was 20,000 people in the stadium watching it on a big, massive screen, and that was the first ever Newcastle Sunderland derby. And I remember walking back to the hostel, the digs, and the whole town was buzzing, like cars peeping the horns and everybody knowing. That was incredible that night. That was a taste of, man, imagine playing for Sunderland and scoring a goal against Newcastle. It would have been pretty something special. But no, that was amazing.
And mine, Dan, as I say, I wouldn't count Celtic, so I would say toss up between Matt Ritchie and Charlie Austin. Again, Charlie Austin and Matt Ritchie trained like animals, mate. They were so dedicated to being football players. Never had much more ability than the rest of us, but just had that will, and you just knew they were going to go to the top, go and play in the Premier League at top clubs. Like both of them, I would not want them in my team in possession. Like if we're going to be possession drills or passing drills, I wouldn't want either of them in my team, because in terms of that, they were fucking hopeless. But what they would do is every Saturday they turned up, mate. That's when they came alive in the matches. You know, you get these players that are brilliant in training, and when you get to a Saturday, they're not the same player. But they two, when it came to a Saturday, mate, they were on it, and they were most times in the games, they two made the difference in games we played. Either Matty crossing a ball in or putting one in the stanchion, and Charlie just being an animal and getting himself in the box and scoring goals for fun. So they two were standouts.
Toughest player you've played with?
The what, sorry, mate?
Toughest player.
Toughest as in hard bastards?
Aye.
Oh, Kev, you want to go first?
There was a guy who played for us called Kevin Ball. He was a right senior pro at Sunderland, but I swear he was one of the hardest guys I think I've ever met in the footballing world. And like it's when I'll tell you, in the footballing world, everybody mentions a hard guy, and everybody will say a story about this hard guy. That was Kevin Ball. Everybody had a story about Kevin Ball, and he was one of the old school centre midfielders that just had no nonsense, very disciplined off and on the park. And he would never, like if we lost a youth team game, he would have us in the Mondays, the first team captain, questioning why we lost. The level of performance wasn't good. He was a proper captain, but a scary guy. You just did not want to be on the wrong side of him. He was the guy that if you were in the trenches, you wanted him in there with you, because he was certainly going to help you dig you out.
Mine's is somebody you probably wouldn't think, but at Dundee, Kevin Thompson, who played for Hibs and Rangers. Now, Tomo wasn't a hard man that would go about smashing people, but see when he tackled, wow, he could smash. He was a great tackler. No somebody that would just top people for the sake of it, but when he went in at a 50-50, lovely football player, but he was great at the dirty side of the game as well, in terms of getting his body in, getting his elbow across people's faces. That's what made him a top player for me, the little things that people didn't see, Kev. Do you know what I mean? Everyone thinks Kevin Thompson and just thinks, nice passer of the ball. But in terms of doing the dirty side and the basics of the game, he was the best I've played at doing that. And even like headers, simple things when you're playing centre midfield. Tomo wasn't the biggest, but he'd get his arm across the guy he was playing against and he would bash him out the way. And I think that's a massive thing if you're going to be a top midfield player, and Tomo had that.
Best manager you've played, that you've played. Like, sorry.
Mine would be.
As is Mark Roberts.
Mark Roberts, he's all. My best would be either Jim Jeffries or Mick McCarthy. I couldn't really differentiate the two because they were good to me in different ways. Jim brought me to Scotland and got my career going again at Kilmarnock, and then took me to Hearts, and I've always kept in touch and things have been good with Jim. Whereas with Mick McCarthy, he gave me my big opportunity at Sunderland. Although Peter Reid had gave me my debut, Mick was the one that probably believed in me and gave me a proper season, 44 games one season, and he really believed in me. And then he took me on loan to Wolves and stuff. And I feel a part of my career that I was a wee bit disappointed was that when I went on loan to Wolves, I kind of let myself down because I didn't get to the levels I was at Sunderland, and I felt like I let Mick down. So it was difficult, but he was a great guy because I had a lot of off the field problems as well, and it was well documented. Obviously, I was like a gambler, but Mick McCarthy always kept in touch and always tried to help me and send me to the right people for advice and try and make things better. So he was a good man manager, and I think Jim Jeffries was very similar. They let you know what they needed to tell you, and they also put an arm around you when needed. So for me, that's why the two of them have probably been in football so long, is because the way they conduct themselves. It's all right to shout and scream at players because we accept that sometimes, but there's also time to put an arm around people and let them know what you think and praise them. And I think it's getting the balance right. And for me, had that, and I think Si would probably agree that some of the better managers played when they know how to scream and shout at the right times, and they know also when to put an arm around you. And
the fact that Mick McCarthy gave you $6,000 a week.
I know, but I was definitely worth more than that to him.
Anyway, is Jim Jeffries not under that desk here anyway?
Nah, he's just been there having a wee cup of tea, hasn't he, Jet?
Darren, mine's just the canny 100%, mate. Like what Kev's saying there about managers and the way, that was probably his downside, that he probably did shout and scream just a wee bit too much. But in terms of preparing for teams that you're playing against and tactics and how he set a team up, mate, he was top class. Like he should be managing the Premier League on that in terms of that side of football. Everything I do now, coaching wise, and how I set up teams is all through what he done with me at Swindon. Again, like Kev says, if he could have just maybe got that softer side that maybe a Mick McCarthy or a Jim Jeffries had, then I've no doubt he'd be a top manager. But loves football, full enthusiasm. His job means the world. I mean, he does it 24 hours a day. He's obsessed with it. But I just wish he had that softer side to him. And who knows how far he could have gone. So I think he could have went to the top if he had that.
Toughest player you've played against?
Oh, Kev's got big names again. Darren, wait till you hear this.
Mine would probably be Martin Larsson. And I only played against him, I think, maybe 3 times. One when he was playing for Aston Villa, and 2 when he was playing for Denmark. I played against him in Scotland, and he was about the same height as me, 6'3", 6'4". And I was good at timing headers, winning headers, and flicking them on and laying them off and stuff. But see, this guy, no matter what I tried, no matter how I did it, he was just a second better than me every single time. And I don't know whether that was him at his peak. If he was at his peak, he might have been 10, 15 seconds better than me. But he was just so good at reading the game. And I think I look back on his career and stuff, and he was at AC Milan in his pomp. And like, you don't become you're not an average player when you play for AC Milan. So I think he was struggled with really bad knees in his footballing career, so that's why he probably didn't hit the heights that he probably should have done. But for me, he was very difficult to play against, because there was things as a striker, you would try one thing, if it didn't work, you'd revert to plan B, maybe plan C. No matter what plan I had, he was always one step ahead. So Martin Laursen for me was very, very difficult to play against.
Best player you've played against?
Si, you was that one.
I've played a few. I played against a few big names in pre-season, but I'll knock it pre-season wise. We went to America with Celtic and played Man United, and Berbatov was an absolute shambles, man. His touch was. It was pre-season and everyone else was spitting about, and he's just throwing about, pulling balls out there, holding Peter off, flicking balls around the corner. Scholes played as well that day. He was outstanding. At Dundee, we played Man City in a pre-season friendly. All their big players. Everton, Dundee, we played Everton. Lukaku was a monster, mate. Never got tight to somebody and felt power like this when he put his arm across you. But in terms of actual competitive games, Van Dijk, when he was at Celtic, played against him at Dundee, he was outstanding, man. He was just like one of the older boys playing against all the younger boys. It was just a stroll in the park for him. And down south, Adam Lallana was outstanding. I played centre midfield against Adam Lallana one day for Southampton in League One. And I remember the first couple of minutes in League One, usually if the balls, like you'll know, Kev, first couple of minutes, the balls are hot tatty. People are just trying to turn the ball. People are trying to smash people. The ball comes to the edge of his own box at Southampton. I'm thinking, I'm going to smash him here. He's just going to hook it on. Go to smash him. Ball's in the air. He crossed me first time on the edge of his own box. I think he does like a step over past somebody else. Nearly puts Ricky Lambert through. I think Ricky Lambert just misses. But that was like the first time at that level at League One. I thought, wow, like, he's a proper player. And you just couldn't. He just made good decisions all the time, Dan. If you got close to him, he'd play first time. If you sat off him, he would take a touch and he'd play forward. He just had 2 feet. He could run, he could tackle as well. So Lallana was the one. He'd be the one that while I was doing south, he really stood it.
Best ground
you've played at?
Mine, ground.
Oh, best ground, right?
Mine would be probably either the Old Firms grounds. No, saying that, no, I'm going to be honest, Darren, right? You're not going to like this. Tynecastle. Tynecastle, anybody tell you, and Si's played there as well, see Tynecastle full under the lights or in a derby when you're winning all the time. It is some atmosphere. It is breathtaking, passionate, and I think it's because the stands are so steep, it feels like the crowd's on top of you. So for me, Tynecastle is right up there with one of the best grounds I've played at.
I was on the bench for Celtic, mate, at Tynecastle, and it was actually one of them. You were shiting yourself to go on. You were actually hoping that the manager wasn't going to put you on because the atmosphere was so like you were shiting yourself, nervous on the bench, mate. Do you know what I mean? Just because of the noise. I was only a young kid, maybe 17, 18, and I remember thinking, I'll fucking fold if he puts me on here in front of this crowd. Even when you were warming up, mate, you just got abused for the first minute to the last. Tynecastle is a great stadium. Again, with Kev, Celtic and Rangers, it's a pure pleasure to play at the grounds, Kev, isn't it? Like, you actually go out on the pitch and there's all the crowd there and you just think, this is fucking brilliant. Down south, I loved playing at Ellen Road, Kev. Amazing, isn't it? Ellen Road. You've got that atmosphere, that feel about it.
Ellen Leeds is like, I would love to, I don't think I ever did, but I would love to have played against Leeds when they were in the Prem flying, because it must have been amazing, the atmosphere, because the atmosphere that they generate just with League One and not all the fans in is incredible. So to actually experience having them full, it must have been something else. Because we talked about Sheffield Wednesday as well in Hillsborough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's massive and it's the same, but there's so many big grounds in England and the atmosphere is amazing. I think that's sometimes where Scotland lacks a bit. You don't always get a full ground. You'll get a full ground at a Hibs Hearts derby, a Celtic Rangers derby, but majority of the time you don't get a full state. You never go to Pittodrie and it's full to the rim with both sets of fans. So it's difficult to compare the grounds of Scotland to England, but in England the atmospheres are always good. But I think the passion's more in Scotland. But It's just.
Yeah, did you play Fratton Park?
Fratton Park? Oh, mate. Fratton
Mate,
Park.
that's up there as well, Dan. Fratton Park's up there. What a ground that is.
Fratton Park is very old school.
Yeah.
Because it's never really been changed. And the only good thing with Fratton Park is that when you play there, it's always roasting because it's summertime. It fucking Portsmouth's always summer down there. Nah, it was very good. Millwall was an experience.
Millwall was good. I enjoyed it.
It's an experience because of fucking want some Millwall. You know, it's some place to go. It's a great experience.
See, when you get a thrown at Millwall and you go over to get the ball, like fuck off, you ugly cunt. Like that.
You don't know if you're going to come back after getting a throw in. So you've got to be careful when you're playing at the Den.
Even when you're getting off a team bus down at Millwall, you step off the bus and there's like 50 guys either side of you. It's not like 21-year-olds, mate. It's like 40-year-old men. And they're like fucking doing that to you as you're getting off the bus and all. You're like, what the fuck's going on here, isn't it, kid?
It's scary. It is scary. It's some experience. And you can't like resort to them. You can't say anything to them because see if you do, they will just do what they'll do. They'll go and do what they're threatening to do anyway. So you're better off just keeping quiet, get in, play the game, and get away up the road.
We had we played Millwall at Swindon like the third game of the season, and we beat them, and it was like a bit of needle between our right back and their striker, who's Neil Harris. He's now he's the manager of is it Cardiff now? I'm sure he is. He was their star centre forward. So it was a big thing that got made in the paper. Neil Harris said a few things to Kev, which weren't nice. Kev said a few things to Neil Harris that weren't nice. And it just so happens that we went to Millwall on the last day of the season, and both of us could have went up to the championship if either of us had won. But they'd made a big thing over the Neil Harris and Kevin Mango thing. So a day before we played Millwall, the police came into Swindon and spoke to us all saying, listen, you're on high alert because it's the last game of the season. When the whistle goes, there's talk that the Millwall fans are going to run on the pitch and go for it. Mate, see, throughout the 90 minutes, I was shitting myself. Could not concentrate on the game. And I kept asking the ref how long to go. See, we're about 30 seconds. I says, how long, ref? He says, 30 seconds, mate. I just started to like drift over to the left wing where the tunnel was. And as soon as he blew that whistle, mate, I was down that. But, mate, they were on the pitch straight away trying to get to our players. It was a scary, scary game, man.
How do you focus before going into the tunnel in a big game, i.e. whether it was an Old Firm or Edinburgh Derby?
I don't know, Dan. I think see, like as a fan, you're more nervous as a fan than you are as a footballer. Footballers, it's your job, so you've just got to go out there and do what you've been doing through the weeks before that. You just go out and try and just do the same things and play to the best of your ability, and hopefully everything works out for you. Edinburgh Derbies, I didn't really ever get too nervous because I'll be honest, right, and this your Edinburgh following might not like me saying this, but I was never worried about losing to Hibs. I always knew that we would beat Hibs. I knew we were a better side. I knew that we could wind some of their players up, i.e. Derek Ryle and Ian Murray. I knew that we could get the better of them. And Jim Jeffries just iterated that, like, if each individual in our team plays to their ability, individually we're better than Hibs and we should win the game. And that's what we believed. And we went out that twice that season, went out and beat us twice. And that's what it was. So I never really ever got nervous. Nerves sometimes can be overrun by emotions which make you more up for the game than anything else. And you end up bypassing that nervous feeling. There are certain games where you feel nervous and you think, shit, you know, like Crystal Palace versus Sunderland playoffs 2003, 2004. I think we lost on the second leg because we lost the first leg 3-2 and we won the second leg 2-1. And we were nervous. I was really nervous because it's a chance to get into a final to get promoted to the Premiership. So there's a lot at stake, like difference in wages, everything. Whereas with a derby, it's just a one-off game. The difference between promotion and relegation, I think the pressures become different.
I'm the same as Kev, Dan. I wasn't a big one for getting nervous. Like I say, we were so well prepared, especially at Swindon. Like, you had nothing to be nervous about. You knew what you had to do. You knew your job inside out. And I think when you've got that, there's no really any need for nerves. It's like Kev says, it's mere excitement. The only one game I've ever been nervous for is similar to Kev, was standing at the tunnel at Wembley the League One playoff final against Millwall, 80,000. The big fire sticks are going off next to you. We'd played Millwall. That was the season that all that stuff had went on with Millwall. So in the tunnel, they were shouting, "Look at them, they're shitting themselves." And I was like, "Oh, actually, I'm shitting myself. How do they know, man?" But then went out.
Smelt you.
What, mate?
They would have smelt you.
Martin in the tunnel. And do you know what? See, after that day, mate, I vowed never to get nervous again because it totally affected my game. I had a stinker. Absolutely ruined my big day out at Wembley. So after that game, I said to myself, I'm never going to get nervous and worked up about a game again. Like Kev said, if we had a chance to go up to the Championship, we knew that we'd all be doubling our money and it was a big bonus for getting up. And you're just constantly thinking about that the whole week there, thinking my life could kind of change next year. And you just end up putting far too much pressure on yourself for the game where you should just go out and enjoy it and whatever happens, happens. So I kind of stopped getting nervous after that.
Fastest player you've played against?
My internet connection, shite, innit? Fastest, on you go, Kev. Mine is Kevin Kyle.
Fastest.
The only time he's fast is when he's in the McDonald's drive-through.
I don't go to the drive-through anymore, Darren. Uber Eats is in Glasgow, so come on, so I just get Uber to send it to me now. Fastest player. Fastest player, probably. I don't really know. Connor Salmon was fast at Kilmarnock. But I can't really remember too many super fast players that I played with.
Danny Galbraith. When you played against?
I'll tell you who was fast. Danny Invincible. He was that fast you couldn't see him.
Was he any good, Tony?
He married the Jet's daughter.
Oh, did he?
I think so, aye.
Right.
That's why he got a game for Kilmarnock.
Fastest player?
Aye.
Question. Fastest player?
Matt Ritchie, is he no fast, no?
Nah, he wasn't fast, mate, no.
What about Slaney?
Slaney. I don't think it was Slaney quick. I can't think who was fast, actually. Who was fast? Good question, by the way.
You must have some Celtic first team players. Agarth, you know there with him, no?
But I was about 16, mate. I was fucking trying to think who was fast at Dundee when I was there. Nah, I can't think, mate. Do you know who's quite quick? Paul McGinn that plays with Hibs now.
Santana.
Who?
David Santana.
What's he, is he the guitarist?
David Santana.
I don't know him.
Who's he?
Do you know who was quick? Paul McGinn that plays with Hibs now. He's you wouldn't think Paul McGinn's quick, but he is. He's is it deceivingly quick? And I always liked Paul McGinn. I actually got him moved to Chesterfield. When he left Dundee, my old manager Danny Wilson, I phoned him up and said, "You should take Paul McGinn." Boy, I've got a Dundee. So Paul McGinn went down there, had a fucking nightmare and got Danny Wilson the sack. So Danny Wilson doesn't speak to us anymore. So I just like to personally thank Paul McGinn for it.
It's weird that Hibs have had all McGinn brothers.
They're a good bunch, I like them. They're a good family. Good lads. This hair, man, what's happening?
You're not looking to use your sharp self.
No, mate. I've been playing football today. Shattered.
Have you, aye? What, training or just taking about with the kids?
No, with the boys.
All right.
Both of them are hopeless, man.
Just like you then.
Exactly. They're definitely mine, Dan, I'll tell you that.
Who had the better banter on open goal?
Slaney.
Oh, Slaney's the man, isn't he?
Slaney just, like, Si will tell you, like, Si hangs about me more than me because they're of the similar age. I'm a wee bit too old for them to be hanging about the street corners.
You're only granddad age.
I know, but it's just like we don't know what Slaney's going to turn up every Monday to do the podcast and see sometimes when he starts rattling things off, you think, where's this going? But some of it's like genius, like it's borderline and genius, some of the comedy. Like one of my favourite ones was the other week with Barry when he was talking about with him, Bob and Barry used to sit in the dressing room and just... I just like, how do you even make that stuff up? So, like, Slaney's obviously, like you said in the last podcast, he's got a calling, and I think his calling's the world of comedy and entertainment, and hopefully he fulfills that dream.
See some of the stuff that gets cut out. It would blow your mind, mate, honestly. What was the one he said about his dad and his mum, man? Remember that? I actually couldn't move. He's not funny, but he's a funny boy. He is funny all the time. He is, like, even off camera and that, he's funny, isn't he?
Yeah, he's funny, like, Dan, even things like when he texts or he messages or things like, he'll send something stupid like to me to say, all right, big man, I heard a rumour that you're driving past my house today, just looking for a lift. He just kind of has a way that he does things, and like, obviously Simon's brilliant at doing interviews, and I probably talk more serious about the football, even though a lot of people would agree it's a lot of shit, but he helps, he's the main reason for the show being funny and popular, because it brings in a different audience. There's an audience that likes the football and stuff, and there's an audience that likes the banter, so it's a great mix of everybody making the show what it is, and it's been a win-win.
What team do you support?
I support the Celtic, Darren. I grew up supporting them because my dad did, took me to a few games. Obviously, later on in my life, I had the pleasure of playing for Rangers, which absolutely enjoyed. I've no regrets of that whatsoever, regardless of what I might say sometimes. But it was an experience that I could never turn down. But now that my footballing career's over, I'm back to supporting Celtic. But it's different. I'll tell you that when you become a footballer, supporting a team doesn't become as serious as it is when you're just a fan, because I now realise that in my life, my family and everyone else look after me, whereas Celtic doesn't. So whether they win the league or lose the league, I certainly am not going to lose any sleep over it.
Because you never played very well at Rangers, did you?
Well, think you meant that, Dan? Think you meant to play badly?
No, of course I didn't. I just
play that badly. Fuck, that's an Oscar-like performance if he's meant that.
No, the thing is, when you go there, that Rangers were in the third division, and
I was only.
Sorry?
No wonder you went to Rangers. That was just so you got some days off training.
No, I was in every day, Darren. I was a moral professional going in to try to shift some of that excess weight that I grew at Hearts.
Well, still there.
Hey, wee man, my scales are going down every week I jump on them.
Yeah, I've lost a bit, Kevin.
I've lost 11 kilograms.
Have you, mate?
What,
you told me to get fat. You told me to get fat for the hydro, so I went the other way.
How'd you lose 11 kilos?
Coffee, Kev?
Sorry, Dan?
Is that only when you're making coffee? You're losing...
No, I don't drink coffee. No, I got a new job being a courier delivery driver for DPD, so I'm out every day covering miles up the West End of Glasgow, delivering parcels, and it's just shifting the weight.
What is that? Well, see, because you're doing that, Kev, eating in the van or that now, just getting on with the job.
No, like, I'm eating in the van, but no anywhere near what I would have done before. Like, it's just because I'm active. So when I was my taxi driving, I would sit in Mars all day, whereas now I'm actually physically out there running about the streets, and I like to put myself under a wee bit of pressure. So I make myself, instead of walking with the parcels, I like to run about with the parcels and get them delivered as quickly as I can. So,
some man.
What team do you support, Si?
I'm something like Kev, as I said, grew up Celtic fan. But honestly, see now, because I coach and that all my focus is on Peterhead, mate. So, like, in terms of football, my first thoughts are kind of make Peterhead better. So, if Peterhead didn't win on a Saturday, mate, it makes me a lot more upset than any other team that winning on a Saturday. So, I'm determined to do well for them. But like Kev says, it's when you've got wife and kids and you've got jobs, and that's what's more important in life, mate.
Dead take life for granted.
What team do you support, Don?
Well, either if you're colour blind or just blind in general, it's my high beans.
How do you think your season's going so far with the new manager, Jack Ross, into his first full season? How do you think it's
brilliant
going? Aye.
No, come on, Dan. It's not brilliant. You got beat for Hearts in the semi-final. It's not brilliant. It's just all right.
To be fair, it was the tale of two penalties.
I know, but you let it get to that. It shouldn't have got to that stage, eh? Hearts, Hibs should have won that game comfortably. Hearts hadn't played a game for months.
But it's one of the things, take league form or whatever, out of a cup semi-final, anything can happen.
That's true, mate. That is true.
It's a one-off game, Darren, the old semi-final. So Hibs are unlucky and Hearts obviously gained from it. But
Big chance for them this year, though, eh?
Aye.
Semi-final of the weekend.
I think we'll win.
Do you, Kev?
Who are they playing at Aberdeen? No.
St
Johnstone.
Johnstone.
Oh, do you know what, right? I would love to think that Hibs would have enough for St Johnstone, but I actually genuinely believe that Callum Davidson has got St Johnstone playing very, very well. And to me, it would not be a surprise if they were to beat Hibs, because Hibs' form recently has been a bit yo-yo. It's been up and down. They'll win a game, they'll lose two, they'll win one, they'll draw. It's just not consistent enough to be able to say that Hibs are strong favourites to beat St Johnstone in a one-off game to get to a final. When was the last time St Johnstone got to a final? So for me, I genuinely think that St Johnstone could possibly turn over Hibs.
Wow, he's just doing that to wind you up, Dan.
No, I'm not sorry. I genuinely would like to see Hibs do well, because I do like Jack Ross, even though things didn't quite work out at Sunderland. I do like the way he comes across and the things he says, but at the same time, I played with Callum Davidson. I think that he's got St Johnstone, like, I think they're going quite well now. I think they're better than what they have been, and I think they're only going to improve. So for me, it's going to be a good game, but I think St Johnstone might just edge it.
Darren, with the teams that are left in the semi-final, and how bad Aberdeen are just now with injuries and players leaving, fans want Derek McInnes out. Hibs should finish third and win the cup this year.
Definitely.
And if they did, I think that's a disappointing season.
See, if we just say, for instance, if we don't win the cup, but we finish third, I'll take that.
Right. Would you not rather a cup and finish fourth now?
No.
No? All right.
But I would rather win the cup and also get to a final.
Do you think if you won the cup and finished third, you would struggle to keep Jack Ross?
No.
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 Now, where can you see him going, Kev? Celtic?
No, I don't know. I just think that I think he's on the verge of it. The way he's going about his manager career, it's like small steps, and he got the big step to Sunderland, and he's had to take maybe a wee step back, and he seems to be going back up the way. If managers aren't very good at what they're doing, they tend to go down and they keep going down. Whereas with him, he keeps coming back the way. So I think there's a club out there for Jack Ross where he gets it right and he has a lot of success. Hibs might be that club, but I don't know. I just think with the way Scottish football is, that when a manager does well, inevitably they go somewhere else. That's always been the case. And I think Jack Ross, like when we look at Derek McInnes, when he did well with initially, he went away down to Bristol City, didn't quite work out in the Championship, and then he came back to Aberdeen. So you never know. Jack Ross might feel that there's an opportunity down south again for him, and he might get that. But again, it's miles away. But if Hibs start getting success, it could possibly happen.
No danger.
Oh well.
Best game you've watched?
Oh, best game you've watched? Wow, what a question that is. It's got to be the AC Milan Liverpool now, Champions League final. I was in digs in Airdrie, and Milan went 3-up. Not just the game, but the quality of the goals. Remember Crespo's goal? I think Kaka Cruyff somebody on the halfway line and slips Crespo in, and he dinks it over Dudek. Maldini scored that game, and then at half time you think Liverpool are done, and then they come out and they're unbelievable second half win. Then Shevchenko misses the penalty and Liverpool won it. I think that's probably the best game of football I've watched.
That would be hard to disagree with. There's been a few big, like the old Newcastle Liverpool games in the past when they were 4-3 and things like that. They were good games, but because that's a European Cup final, that's got to be up there with one of the best I've seen anyway.
Was that no in 2004?
I think you might be right.
Aye.
What's the best game you've watched?
Scottish Cup final, Hibs 3, Rangers 2.
Yeah. Did you
I
go?
was there.
Enjoy it. Amazing.
When Halliday scored that unreal goal to make it 2-1. I thought, here we go again. But I think when Stokes made it 2-2, Rangers just looked dead on their feet.
And then David Gray, what?
David Gray, Henderson. Now, I mean, that goal, I had my phone out, but then I thought I'll probably go over the bar, so put my phone out, and he scores.
Didn't need your phone, mate. It's memories, isn't it? I didn't need phones.
No, but it was an unreal, moment, especially ending 114 years.
Yeah. Good game.
What's your favourite still game episode?
Oh,
Don't ask me, Darren, because obviously I'm embarrassed when it comes to still game. We had Ford Kiernan on, and I've never actually sat down and watched a full episode of still game. So if you ask me about that type of people, I like chewing the fat.
Chewing the fat was good.
Aye, but
Hey, one day you like chewing the fat because you look like a chewing the fat.
I'm saying nothing, Darren. I can't even give you a response because you've got me deflated here with the amount of comebacks you're giving me. So
He's killing you, isn't it? What a boy.
Killing me, I might need to hang up. But Si's your man. Si's got the knowledge for still game.
I'm the same, mate. I've watched I've watched a few episodes. I only really watch football, mate, and then I don't really have time done. Busy all the time, so I don't really get a chance to sit down and watch telly. And if I do, I'd probably watch like a Narcos doc. See the one? Did you watch the one Andy said, Kev?
Aye, what was the one you told me to watch?
The Last Narco. You need to watch that, mate. I watched some of that. Was it yesterday? I watched a couple of episodes.
I mean, is that the one that Andy was raving about? What you raved about one?
Oh no, that's the Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker. That's the one. Aye, because
you watched that, Dan?
No.
Good, mate. Good.
Aye,
I like documentaries. I like Louis Theroux. I like watching Louis Theroux documentaries. And I like watching like crime documentaries. Other than that, football and that's it, mate.
What inspires you?
What inspires us? Kev, you want to go first?
I don't know, Darren. Just, geez, oh man, that's a tough question. My wife, nah, she's sitting there. Lynn says me, but nah. What inspires me is
be inspired.
Be inspired. I give them a plug. No, I don't know. I just sometimes just want to be a better person, Darren. On like away from the show and away from the media and stuff, and there's things we can all change, and I just want to try and be the best that I can. Try and be a good dad to my kids, and obviously a good husband to Lynn. But nah, just don't worry about what other people think. Just worry about what the people important to me think, and I inspire to keep them happy.
I don't really think too much about stuff like that, Dan. I just kind of get up and whatever happens with the day, mate. Just try and do the best you can, whatever you do, mate. And if you're hopeless at it and you're rubbish at it, then find someone else and try and be good at that, mate.
Yeah.
What challenges have you overcame?
Oh, damn off! Like I was a gambler from the age of 14 right up until 30s, early 30s.
How did you get into bloody bookies at that age?
Well, it was when it was. There's little reasons why.
A lot of football players done that, Kev. Didn't the afternoons went to the bookies?
Of course there is. There's a lot of footballers do it, but it can't just be a stigma towards footballers because there's loads of people who don't play football and were in the same boat I was. And my goal was to stop that in my life, and I did. I had a lad a few years ago, and I managed to combat that, and I fight with it every day. So it's just that I overcame that, and it was tough. And now I get lots of messages, people asking for advice, and I'm like, my message is always open for anybody with gardening related issues and stuff. I will always try and help them if I can say a few words. But that was a tough thing to overcome, and it's something that I can't change what I did yesterday, but what I can do is I can make a difference about tomorrow. So That's the way I look at life.
What was the question? What challenge
What
have you overcome?
Yeah.
No, none. Mate, I've been lucky in life. Can't complain. There's a lot of people worse off than me. Obviously, like Kev says, I had a few lows here and there, mate, but nothing that's worth crying about. As I say, a lot of people have been worse off than me. But I think when you come out of football, Kev, having a graft for the first time comes as a bit of shock, doesn't it? Kind of hits you hard. I remember walking out the night shift and thinking, wow, what's happening? But in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing compared to what the problems other people have got.
No, that's right, Si, because when I finished football, I ended up working on a ship, and I wanted to hide myself away in a kitchen because I was embarrassed. People questioning, why am I doing this? What are you doing that for? I used to be a big footballer, but things happen in life that lead you to these paths and what have you. And it's taken me a long time to get over that anxiety, but I'm over it now, and I go about my business now, working my job, and I'll speak to everybody that I bump into. If anybody wants a conversation, we'll talk away, and I feel absolutely no shame because at the end of the day, I'm out there working hard, providing for family, and that's what it's all about. As long as they're happy and content, then it makes me happy. So there's nothing to be worried about in anything in life. Just don't try no worry about what anybody else thinks, because the nobody's opinion is irrelevant, really.
Slaney's a constant challenge. Slaney's a constant challenge.
I don't think any of us have overcame Slaney yet, but he's a work in progress.
No, but Kev, see when things go back to normal, you owe me a pint.
Mate, see when things do go back to normal, I will quite happily buy you a pint, Darren, and I'll get you a couple of pies.
He'll drink under the table, mate. Big Kev, he can drink for fun.
Mate, I just cannot
wait. Stuff in the pies at half time.
No, I'll come and watch a Hibs game with you, right? I'll even sit in Easter Road end.
No,
you can protect me, all right?
You're big and ugly enough yourself.
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
No, but I think we should all get together and go for a pint.
We'll all get a party at Slay's new flat.
Where's that?
In Glasgow.
He's
got a spare room, you can stay over. We'll get it sorted.
Best dresser.
Oh, that's not even is that even a question, Dan? You're looking at him, young man.
Well, that debatable.
What, best dresser that we've played with, or just best dresser?
Best dresser in the team.
Who was it? DeCanio was a great dresser, mate. DeCanio's clothes were... He's probably the best dressed at, even talking about players-wise. Every day he would wear tight, skinny jeans, lovely wee pair of desert boots, nice shirt, V-neck, jumper, and a big leather jacket with a fur hood. He looked the dog's bollocks every day, mate. Honestly, he was... You had a clothes shop in Rome that sold like Louis Vuitton, Gucci gear. And every day he'd walk in, he'd give you a wee wink, ask what you thought of his gear, and then he'd go and get changed. So he was a stylish man.
What about you, Kev?
There was a guy I played with at Sunderland called Michael Gray, and he was always smart. He wore some nice clothes and just knew how to conduct himself well. But this new modern style that's kicking about, I'm not really sure if I'm buying that. I know I'm still quite happy with a pair of next jeans and a buttons jumper. I'm quite happy with that. You
know who was a great dresser? Stephen Presley.
He was a good dresser.
Great dresser. Very, very smart.
Stephen Caldwell.
Was he?
Oh, mate, see when we played like Newcastle in the 19s, you say he was injured. He would turn up for the match with the big long overcoat, the shoes, the brogues, the trousers, nice roll neck jumper and everything. He came proper dressed, even at the age of like 17, 18. He was, Big Stevie was suave.
Paul Hartley was quite a good dresser when he was at Celtic. He'd only wear Armani. And every day he'd come in and I'd say, what kind of jumper is that? He'd go, fucking Armani. I loved Armani, mate. So he was quite a sharp dresser, Paul Hartley, as well. What, in terms of worst dressers, Killian Sheridan, he was a disgrace at Celtic, man. Some of the gear that he would wear. Scott Brown's a bad dresser. I think Brynny would tell you that himself. He would wear he was spotted like Puma at the time. He'd wear like a pair of bootcut jeans, big baggy jeans, with a Puma t-shirt that he'd obviously been given for free for Puma, and a big pair of Puma trainers in it. But he didn't care, He'd get slagged all the time, but he wouldn't care.
Niall Quinn used to come into training, right, and he would come in a pair of jeans, a pair of whaley boots, like a checkered shirt and a leather waistcoat, and just bowl into training as if that was the norm. And see, his dress sense was that bad that every season we did an end of season trip to Marbella, we all chucked in 20 quid each to buy him some clobber for Marbella, just to make him look a wee bit better than his wife dressing. But I don't know. I couldn't say my clobber was any good, Darren, but I'm not really that fussed.
I'm surprised half it fits you.
Mate, these large be inspired jumpers are the bee's knees.
He's relentless, isn't he? Darren's relentless. I love it, man.
Right, only more questions. I've got my tea to get to here. You're keeping my belly rumbling.
Best trainer. Mine's is Adidas Samba.
Mark Poom, the goalkeeper. He'd come in at 8 o'clock, work for 2 hours, then go and train for 4 hours, and then would stay and do the gym for 4 hours. That guy came in from 8 till 5 every day. And he spent that much time in the gym. See, if you ever got in a fight with him, you'd ask him to kick you. Because he certainly couldn't punch you. He's just too big.
That's great, man. It's this connection's good. The best trainer of mine's again was Matt Ritchie, mate. He would be the first in, last to leave. He'd be doing all his stuff in the gym. He'd get a massage before training, after training. He'd go to the gym, he'd take shakes. And we would all piss off into the tune and get drunk, and he would sit in the gym and do all his stuff. So Matt Ritchie, 100%.
Hard man.
Have you not done that?
I've done that. Yeah, that's the hard man.
No, I said toughest.
Toughest. I would say
hard man.
I played with a guy called Robert Page. I think he's the Wales assistant manager.
Oh, mate, big skinhead.
Aye, he looked like Phil and Grant Mitchell combined, the two of them, and he was hard as fuck. He was hard. I seen him batter somebody one night, and he was really tough.
Gordon Greer was tough at Swindon. He would remember Gordon Greer?
Oh, big Gordon Greer, aye. Was he tough?
Yeah, well, he would just fly off the handle, mate. I've seen him punch about 5 boys in training, man. Like, nothing had even happened. You look around and Gordy was punching fuck out of somebody. We played Charlton in the semi-final, mate. We were 2-1 up for the first leg. And about 13 minutes into the game at the Valley, the ball goes up in the air and Gordy just boots Dion Burton in the chest. Said stuff like, fuck you. Boots him right in the chest. Dion Burton, I thought he killed him. Straight red after 13 minutes, wanted to play the rest of the game with 10 men. So Gordy could fly off a handle. He wasn't shy, and if you weren't training right or playing right, it wouldn't be just him shouting at you. He'd grab you up and grip you up, and he'd let you know you need to get better.
Best anthem.
Anthem? Got to be Where's All My Good Girls, isn't it? Masterpiece. I Can Boogie. I Can Boogie would be mine. You like that, Darren? Yes, I Can Boogie.
Aye.
Good, wasn't it?
I saw it when you done it in the Go Radio studio.
Good, wasn't it?
Good, mate.
Is a wee song, that?
What got you involved with interviewing, Si?
What got us involved? So, again, I went from full-time to part-time, mate, and I was delivering kitchens, and then I was working the Royal Mail, and my mate, who's a marketing guy, he phoned us one day when I was sitting in a soft play with my kids and says, fancy getting a podcast? I go, I actually was hungover at the time, and I went, just to get him off the phone, I was like, right, no worries, we'll do it. So I met him the next week, and he had this big plan. He says, ask like Charlie Mulgrew, Aidan McGeady, Charlie Adams, Kevin Thompson, Darren O'Day, Aidan McGeady, whether if they'll do interviews, we'll see how it goes, we'll stick them out. And if it's any good, we'll go for there. If it's shite, we'll leave it and go back to delivering kitchens. But fortunately, mate, we done them, and the boys were brilliant, put them out and just went for there.
Best tackle you've made, Kevin?
Oh, I think I'm trying to think if it was the one. No, I didn't make it.
Best tackle?
I don't know. I left one late on Xander Diamond one day playing for Hearts against Aberdeen, and It was late, but it was deliberately late. So nah, I never really tackled. I just flung a few elbows about, and I could never get close enough to anybody to tackle them.
Were you playing the game where Ian Murray almost knocked out, I think, was it Ian Black?
Aye, I think that was the one at Easter Road. I think Ian Murray tried to 2-foot Rudy Scatchell, and then Derek Ryerson came over to get involved. And I think that Ian Murray tried to tackle me, and I elbowed him, and I think he lost one of his tooth. I think I don't know if I tackled Ian Murray, but I elbowed him, and he lost his tooth. And absolutely no regrets for that whatsoever.
Best goal you've scored?
Well, possibly a 86-minute winner at Tynecastle 10 years ago. 10 years ago and 2 weeks ago. I've got a video for you. You want to see it?
Yeah, let's get it up, Kev.
Come on, Kev.
This was probably...
I think I know maybe the one that you're on about.
Wait a minute. No, it's maybe not that one. I'll show you. I've got it here, look. Can you see that now?
No.
Aye.
Aye. I was on about.
Yes!
I was raging at that.
You remember watching it, Darren?
Aye, I was raging.
Sorry, Darren. Obviously, I'm no totally anti-Hibs and all pro Hearts. It's just you've gave me enough stick today, so I'm giving you a wee bit back.
I can
go over some of the names you were calling them when that goal went and done.
What?
What were you calling me?
I was like, how's that fat bastard managing to run?
See, my plan was to run the full length to the Hibs fans and get it right up you, right? But I was that knackered, I couldn't make it, so I just stopped halfway through and gave up.
Well, yeah.
What about you, Si?
Best goal I've ever scored?
Aye.
You know, scored a goal against Jordan Pickford.
Against Pickford?
He was on loan at Burton, mate. I was playing for Portsmouth. Scored against him away at Burton. I've scored against another famous goal. I've scored against Alan McGregor in the reserve game as well. Volley. Celtic v Rangers, scored a belter. My best goal was probably... I scored the goal against Brentford for Swindon. The ball came in, I chipped it over the boy's head. Kind of like Gascoigne against Scotland. Obviously not as good, but instead of catching it on the full volley, I've let it just as it's bounced. I've hit it first time on the half volley and it's went right in the net. So Swindon against Brentford, Griffin Park. I think we had to win, kind of cement ourselves in the playoffs. It was a good goal, so I'll say that.
Best team talk you've heard?
Wow.
When we played for Scotland under 21s, we played Germany in Germany. We had to beat Germany to qualify for the playoffs to get to the European Championships. And Gary Caldwell was the captain, and he asked Rainer Bonhoff, could he do the team talk? So we sat down in the dressing room in Germany. I can't remember where it was. It might have been Mainz or something like that. And he stuck on the Braveheart speech when William Wallace read it out to the army, went Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace. And that was our team talk for that game. And we went out and we beat Germany 1-0, thanks to Sean Maloney, free kick. So it inspired us, and it was well timed. So that for me was up there, one of the best.
It's funny, guys, you see that Scotland usually do quite good. They do like montages and videos quite well. So we got to the European Championships under 19s. Ended up getting to the final, and before the final, Archie Gemmill and his staff had made up a big video of, I think it was all our families and people from home and people from our clubs showing us it before the game how proud they were of us and going win the final and music, and it was brilliant, mate. So Archie Gemmell was really good. Archie Gemmell was good. He was a good talker, Archie Gemmell. He went out and got beat 2-1, but they beat us 5-0 in the group game, so kind of had a bit between our teeth that we wanted to go and give them a game that time. It was PK and Matt and all that. We eventually got beat 2-1. I had a chance in about 3 minutes to go and I kicked it right at the goalie. But that was a great experience, just the whole thing of being away with Scotland at the Euros. Probably the first time we were in the paper every day. We used to get the paper sent to us back home and everyone was talking about how well we were doing. So I'll probably say Archie Gemmell's before that Spain game was really good.
Best joker.
Michael Gardine at Mayo. Michael Gardine, who plays for Ross County.
Aye.
So we were younger. We used to play at Barrafield. And at Barrafield, you get the porta-cabins are up the top of the hill and then you need to walk down the hill to get to the two pitches.
Yeah.
It's a youth cup game. I think maybe it's semi-final of youth cup. We'll walk down to the pitch where the coaches are up the top getting the kit and that ready. So we get down to the pitch and Midge is in his trackie and we'll all get round him and he says, a tenner ahead and I'll do a shite in the penalty spot. So we're like, shit, no way, man. He's like, well, I'll curl one out on the penalty spot. So we all gave him a tenner there and then must have had about £200. Sure enough, out at the penalty spot, pulls his trousers down, does a shite right on the penalty spot. And we're all in stitches, man. Think nothing else, I go back up to get changed, and as we're coming down, the groundsman's in disgust, sweeping shite off the penalty spot that Midge had done before. He was a screwball, mate. We used to, stayed in a flat together. We were kind of training with the 14 at the time. And he got called into a meeting with Gordon Stratton. We went back to the fact that he's like, Gordon Stratton says to me, I need to stop treating this place like a circus. He's like, but fuck that. He says, I'm going to do it even more. So the next morning he went into the Celtic Superstore and Neil Lennon was the captain at the time. Midge bought a Neil Lennon mask, put the Neil Lennon mask on and he was walking about Celtic Park, trained well on at Barrafield, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with you, man? You've just been told by the manager to stop fucking about. And he was walking about wearing the Neil Lennon mask. And then the last one that was my favourite one. We used to wait, the first time we used to do a gym session, we had to wait at the top of the stairs until they finished. But Midge used to fucking always shout this when he was training with the first team, warming up, whatever. He's like, I used to shout, I'm the fucking best player at this club. He used to shout that all the time. There was like Sutton and Thompson and Lennon, and he would still be shouting he's the best player at the club. So we get the guy in the gym was like, you wait up there, do not come in until the first team are finished. So we get up and Midge is like, fuck that. I'm not waiting for them. I'm better than them. So he strips naked, takes his full clothes off. He's just got his trainers on, runs into the middle of the first team gym session on the pull-up bar, bollock naked, and just starts doing pull-ups with his Willie and his boys flinging about everywhere. And the first team are in stitches, man. So Michael Gardine is a one-off, honestly. He's not right.
I've got nobody that could even compare to that, Darren, so move on.
For you, Si, best player you've interviewed.
Best player I've interviewed?
Put stuff in your face.
Sorry, mate. I'm not out all day. I've been out all day. Kev's a good interview. I like guys like Kev and Gary O'Connor, who everybody probably looks at them and think, what a life they've had playing the Premiership, but then I realised like it's not just high life. There's ups and downs, and they're willing to come on and tell all that. I like guys like that have been through it. Oh no, somebody that's just done well and lived a nice cushy life. I like guys that have had their ups and downs, because just like normal people, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like normal people in life have ups and downs and come through the other end. So probably guys like Kev, Gaz O'Connor, even Deeks. Deeks was a great. I enjoyed Deeks. But then on the flip side, Alan McCoy's probably the best, just because every answer's so funny and so well thought out, and he's just a great storyteller, isn't he? So I like the boys, but also McCoy's brilliant as well, mate.
If I leave it, like end it here, can I talk to you just as you sort off camera?
Dan, see, honestly, I've got to walk because I've got 4 kids here.
Right, well, you can go off, mate.
Right, no bother, Dan. Thanks, Si. Cheers, Dan. Good luck, mate. I
Yeah.
hope you get some good views for this, all right?
I nibble or cheers.
Right, appreciate it, mate. Stick in. Top